Both eyes are focused on pain. Blows my mind alone in my brain. I smell smoke from all of those flames. Fell in holes and hope for my grave. They told me smell the roses, but I burnt the whole bouquet.
Tom, you'll never win the fight against your haters long as I listen. Cause I read every single comment that you try missing. Then recite them in your mind and memorize disses. I'm a giant, Thomas. Why you trying to fight with me?
I'm different. Don't care about a height difference. I might win it. Show up to a gunfight, knife swinging.
I am the darkness.
Yeah, I got night vision. I need to do this by myself. I told you twice already exactly how I felt. I'm the best rapper ever. I don't wanna be great. If they're the best, then I'm better. Don't you make no mistake. Cause I'm the gold. Feel it in my bones until I'm a ghost. I'm the one who pulls the sword out of the stone. Best ever. I'm the best rapper ever. I don't care what you say. I'm Da Vinci. I'm forever. I'm designed for the fake. Cause I'm the gold. Get the kid gone. Everybody knows. Only voices that I'm hearing on my own. Best ever.
Aaron Tuttle here for Ferguson Roof Systems. For 43 years, Ferguson Roof Systems has been protecting Oklahoma's homes and businesses with quality roofing services. Their goal was to be the most honest and dependable roofing company in the state, all while providing free services such as lifetime labor warranty and annual inspections. Well, mission accomplished with thousands of client testimonials, an A+ Better Business Bureau rating, and a 5-star rating on Google. Look, the weather gives you enough to worry about, so why worry about who to trust with your roof? Call Ferguson Roof Systems today or find out more at fergusonroofsystems.com. Happy Saturday afternoon. It's our lunchtime weather update here for your Saturday. Thanks for joining me here at AT's Weather. You come to the right place. I see some of you like the music, some of you don't. That's the way it goes. I like it, so I'm playing it. It gets me pumped up and jazzed, right? If you don't like it, just turn the volume down or hit the mute button just for those 30 seconds to a minute. And then we'll be on with the program. So thanks for joining me. Make sure you like and share this video. Tell your friends and family about AT's Weather so they can get the latest forecast and live severe weather coverage without all the hype and drama and the promise that we're all going to die, because that's never the case. And no, not every supercell storm is about to produce a tornado. That's not the case either. There's a lot of, heightened anxiety when it comes to tornado events here in Oklahoma in the springtime. And we do the opposite of that here. We analyze it scientifically, and we tell you what's going to cause or not cause a system or a storm in particular to produce a tornado. So we get into the science of that. That way you can breathe easier. You can realize, where you don't have to stay glued and go, oh my gosh, is this going to happen any minute now? We don't have to deal with that. But you will get the information you need to stay safe as well. So thanks for tuning in. And thanks for the stars. I see the love out there. See you, Mitch and Carrie. Appreciate you sending me some stars here on Facebook. Let's get on with the program, shall we? The first thing I want to show you, it's another gloomy, cloudy day out there. So it's a little on the cloudy side, but at least it's dry for now for most of us. And at least it's a little on the warmer side. Okay, so let's take a look here at the current. If you expand this view out across the state, we got clouds everywhere. So there's a few breaks, little peaks of sun coming through, but otherwise we're pretty overcast out there for today. So don't expect those conditions to change too much, as we'll start to see some storms developing out into the Texas Panhandle. They're already beginning to kind of bubble up way out here on the western sides of Texas. That's the upper level disturbance coming on in, so it's going to help to generate those storms out there. We're going to have more on that here in just a second. Meanwhile, temperatures out there across the state, we are into the 70s across southern Oklahoma, into the 60s and 50s across north and west. So we are starting to warm things up a little bit out there. And you can see just a few showers bubbling up from west side of Tulsa down to east central Oklahoma, north and south. And that's pretty much all we're going to see today. Is maybe just a little passing intermittent sprinkle, very light passing shower. Pretty much anywhere is fair game. It's nothing to cancel any plans over. Just if it sprinkles on you for a while, you're going to have to obviously, deal with that or go inside briefly. But nothing that's going to cause any flooding or any heavy rain issues at this point in time until later on this evening. All right, so let's see. That's I think that's all I want to show you on that one. So let's go back to the maps here, and the front that we've had that was kind of stalled is pretty much washed out as we have a return flow of dew point values now in the 60s pressing in from southeast to northwest. And so this moist air will feed into the Texas Panhandle in this area here and really help to kick off the tornadoes that will be occurring out there this afternoon. So that is an important ingredient. Here's a look at the Storm Prediction Center, which does have a moderate risk of severe weather across the Texas Panhandle. And then those shades of gray, but in this case color, drop off, diminish as you move your way through western Oklahoma. So by the time you head into central Oklahoma, there's not much left in the threat level of severe weather. We talked about this yesterday and last night, and we'll talk about that again today. Here's a close-up view of that threat for severe weather. And we're mainly concerned about the western counties. And honestly, you could draw the line something like this. Is the way I look at it. So we would include this region here in the enhanced area of severe storms. I do believe there's a potential for a tornado in this red area that would cross over the state. Should be one or two, but I don't think there'll be more than that, but that's the potential right there. No tornadoes expected anywhere in the yellow or green shading. That includes Oklahoma City, so we're looking good. There will be some hail with this and some wind gusts as well, especially out here in west central Oklahoma. That threat should come to an end about here. So roughly from Wichita Falls to Lawton, just west of that line up due north, that's pretty much the far eastern fringe where we should be seeing any type of severe type criteria for hail and wind. After that, the system really weakens into the evening hours. So that's some good news as well. All right, let's take a look at the model data. We'll see what the tornado parameter, in other words, where's the best chance of seeing a tornado. We've got the SPC overlaid on it, and you see all these bright colors. The brighter the color, the stronger the ingredients in the atmosphere to produce tornadoes. And this is around 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, so it's peaking there across the Texas Panhandle. Now, as we go through time, here's 6 o'clock, as that moisture ribbon of instability shifts eastward in Oklahoma, a lot of those bright colors, they go into more of the lighter colors. See how they kind of evaporate? Now, this is by, 6, 7, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. So you can see how they're confined out there in western Oklahoma, and they're not nearly as strong, which is a good sign. It means that the tornado threat will not continue past a certain hour. And then also a weaker signal as far as instability and everything else is concerned for tornadoes. If we look at a close-up view of that, we can show you here across the Panhandle how they peak out here in the red. And keep your eye on this little border right here. This is the Oklahoma state line for Texas. And let's see here. We'll go through time. Watch how those colors start to approach the line, and then they just kind of fizzle once they get into western Oklahoma during the early part of our evening. So that's enough to produce, or keep a tornado going that starts in the Texas Panhandle and crosses over. That'll keep it going for about an hour or two. After that, I think the threat is over. When we look at this in a predicted radar reflectivity pattern, this will kind of show you how things erupt here into the Texas Panhandle about 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. These will be big supercells producing some large hail, damaging winds, and yes, track of a tornado or two. This is the helicity track in this particular supercell thunderstorm that indicates a core that would produce large hail, damaging winds, and yes, likely a tornado. In this particular case, that's going to move up to the north and east, and you see others develop in its wake. So the eastern half of the Texas Panhandle is going to be very busy during the evening hours. Now look at 7 o'clock. We're now crossing over the border here in western Oklahoma, especially this guy up here in the northwest. Now, will it pan out exactly like this? In other words, this cell will be exactly here, due west of Woodward, by 7 p.m.? Probably not, but the model can't get that exact, but it gives you the general idea. In that particular case, you have to do nowcasting, which is about a 1 to possibly up to about a 2 hour window as far as exact placement, timing, and all that stuff. We use that based off of current radar, storm movement, and then that's a better proximity. This is still just a model guess on the timing. But the key is that it keeps that helicity track going, that dark shaded area there, which indicates potential for tornado crossing over the border out here in western Oklahoma. Now you can see just that one alone, and then you don't see any more of those helicity tracks. As we head to 9 o'clock, look how all this is just one big cluster. That's multi-cell clustered garbage where you have too many updrafts fighting over the same air mass, which means you can't produce a tornado in that environment. And that really kind of gets going about 8 o'clock out here in the eastern Texas Panhandle. So it'll be very hard to produce a tornado after 8 o'clock. So that's why I think that the threat is very limited. I'm going to say about 6 to 8 p.m. will be the 2 hour window for a tornado here in far western Oklahoma, and that's it. Outside of that, it should be your garden variety showers and storms and some heavy rain out here in western Oklahoma. Now, what about Oklahoma City? Well, we're dry for the most part. Remember, we're going to have a few of those sprinkles and light passing showers, but for the heavy stuff, As far as you're going to hear some lightning with it, some thunder, that's not going to be until about midnight approaching from the west. And then that kind of just slowly works its way to the east. There's 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, but you can see it weekends as well. Don't expect much in the way of severe weather here in Oklahoma City. I don't think we'll see any. I do think, though, we'll get the lightning with it. At worst, maybe some pea-sized hail. But, we're going to keep most of the severe weather today out west. When you look at wind gusts out here for peak potential in some of these storms. And now, ironically, so sometimes what happens when you get a MCS cluster like that moves east of you, there's air that sinks on the backside. And those winds on the backside, not even storm related, are up around 60 miles per hour. We call that a wake low. Now, if you get a wake low develop, which is what the models are indicating out here western Oklahoma, you might see winds gusting around 50, 60 miles per hour at midnight, which you won't even have a storm in your area by then. The actual storms themselves, once I go back in time, they're going to have pockets up to around 60, 50 to 60 in some of the stronger ones. So it's not a huge widespread wind event as far as the storms themselves go. It may be more likely after the storms with that wake low. As you can see, all these colors in yellow indicate winds of 50 plus miles per hour. As we go through time, there's 11 o'clock, midnight, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. You can see those winds still gusting in northwest and west central Oklahoma. Here in the metro, there's 4 a.m. There's a wind gust around close to 50 miles per hour and up around 60 in northwest Oklahoma. So it'll be a little breezy overnight. It won't be again because of the storms. It'll be the decaying of the storms. A lot of times when the storms decay, they drop their momentum that's held aloft. All that energy has to come somewhere, and it can't just go to space, so it comes back down, usually in the form of wind as everything decays. So that's kind of two mechanisms to get some gusty winds to the surface, whereas you may not get a whole lot of rain. And speaking of rain, how much are we going to see out of this batch here that comes on in? Well, let's take a look at it. Let's see here. It doesn't have much for Oklahoma City through 6 o'clock tomorrow morning. East side of town, 1/4 of an inch. West side of town, up to about 1/2 an inch. You have to get pretty much west of Canadian County to pick up around an inch plus. And of course, out here in western Oklahoma, even though it says Elk City at 1/2 an inch, don't buy that necessarily, because there's going to be a wide swath of 1 to 2 inches within this heavy band of storms that comes through. So some potential locally flash flooding is on the table for that. And I did want to show you how much rain we did see. So let me do that here real quick, because we got, of course, rainfall overnight, and it was heavy in some areas, enough to cause some localized flash flooding. So it was in, believe it or not, the northeastern part of the state. So let's do this, so I get all of Oklahoma in there. All right, so you can see up here northeast around Miami, but that little dark orange shading, that's about 6 inches of rain. Isn't that crazy? And then up here in northern Osage County, the yellow is about 4 inches. Out just north of Stillwater, between there and Ponca City, a little spot there of about 5 inches of rain. So I mentioned there'd be some isolated pockets of flash flooding with up to 6 inches of rain. I wasn't kidding, and there it was. And that was just last night's event. And we're going to have tonight. So when you're dealing with thunderstorms and decaying supercells, they can drop a lot of rain, which is why I kind of, the western Oklahoma, even though the model didn't go nuts with rainfall totals, there's going to be some isolated stuff like this where you just get a ton of rainfall. So there you go. All right, I believe I covered most everything I wanted to cover. If you have not yet, download my weather app. It's free. It's called AT's Weather to Go. You can just search AT's Weather on Apple or Google Play, and you can download that to your phone. Just make sure you select Always Allow for the notifications and the location that you're going to have, because it needs that to run in the background of the phone. Most apps don't, and when I download an app on my phone, I always use Only While in Use. Well, this app, you can't do it that way. You got to do Always Allow. Otherwise, it'll never know where your device is located to send you a custom warning to your specific location, your GPS, your lat-long coordinates. So just make sure you check your phone settings. Even if you already have the app installed, just make sure it's still set to Always Allow. Google, Android, they did a little funny business the last few months and kind of changed some things on us for us app developers, and it's frustrating, but we got to play by their rules. And it's just to protect your privacy, because most apps don't need to know that, especially in the background, but my app does. It doesn't know anything else about you, but it does know where that device is located, because it needs to warn you of the twisting storm alert, to give you about a 15-minute lead time on developing tornadoes, and that's life-saving, so you definitely need that. All right, I believe, let's see, I think that was it real quick. You guys in Tulsa, you're saying, hey, what about us? Well, the radar showed everything's kind of falling apart. You will get a thin line of storms that move through. Let's go back and I'll show you that again. Let's see here. And we'll carry that through, 6 o'clock in the morning. Let's see here. So this ended at 6 a.m. Very light compared to what it was in the past. Very light. Let me go back to a longer view of that. And I'll plot on the longer view of whatever rain will come out of this storm. You see that little thin line right there moving through? That's at 9 o'clock in the morning. It's a very thin leftover squall line. Really is. It's not a big deal when it's that thin. It's a brief round of some heavy rain and wind, scary looking clouds. That's about it. And that moves through 11 o'clock. There's noontime. And then there's the afternoon, 1 and 2 o'clock, and it moves out of the state into Arkansas by the late day. So that's how that looks. And then we talked about precipitation. So let's show you that. This is an earlier run of this particular model. And it doesn't have much in the way of precipitation out of that. From Tulsa southward here, kind of a no man's land here with no rainfall. But it does have the heavy rain up to 1 inch to 2 inches. The little streaks here, that's a streak of 2.5. Almost 3 inches of rain. So that's what I was talking about. You can get some brief flash flooding with these heavier supercells where they do line up. And then northeast Oklahoma's got another round of some heavy stuff up here around Miami and Nowata, Bartlesville. So it might be some flash flooding up there as well to keep in mind. Okay, and I believe... Oh, let me see if there's going to be any wind gusts with that. I think we ended here in central Oklahoma. I didn't keep it going, so let me keep it going for you guys at Tulsa. So your winds, not bad. They're around 40 miles an hour in the early morning hours, and then that's out. That's done with that. Temperatures will be a little cooler, of course, cooler up north today until you finally warm up. You guys have been cold for a couple of days. But as we head into Sunday itself, we're going to rebound here into the low 60s here in eastern Oklahoma. Still looks like some mid-50s in northwest. We see these yellow colors on the map. So Sunday will be a cool day because of that. And we'll look at the wind speeds for you on Sunday. And let's see here. Sunday afternoon. So during the middle of the afternoon, we're looking at a southwest wind out here around, let's call it 10 to 20 miles per hour for the most part in western Oklahoma. Much lighter south winds over eastern Oklahoma. A little batch of heavy wind moves through here up around 25, maybe gusts to 30 at times for the afternoon out east central Oklahoma. That's about it. So winds are typical for this part of the country this time of the year. Nothing unheard of. Outside the storm complex itself, and it moves through overnight. That's just afternoon for tomorrow. Okay, so that takes care of that. We do have another storm system I will show you briefly that comes in next week. Let's take a look at that and get an early look at what the model data foresees. I believe it was about Wednesday. So let's see, it takes us to Tuesday, so we can't use that. We'll have to go to long term. We'll use the European right now for that. Let's see. So here is Tuesday night into Wednesday morning. It's got fast-moving thunderstorms that move through. By Wednesday morning, it's already eastern Oklahoma. So if that timing works out, that doesn't give you much of a chance for severe weather. And that's fine. It means it's coming in at the wrong time of the day. Anytime these storms come out at night and they cross over the state, our severe weather threat is magnitudes lower than it would be if it come in during the peak heating of the day. That's good for us. After that, kind of quiet. Looks like a little signal of some showers or storms around the 22nd. That's pretty much gone. That's the European. We'll go with the American, the new version, and we'll see what that one does for us. And then I'll turn you loose. And then if you missed any of this, I'll give you a quick 30-second recap, and then you guys, if you want to watch the recap replay, you can. Once I get this posted, let's see. Here's Tuesday afternoon. Yeah, this system just does not look right for middle of next week for significant precipitation at this time. I'll monitor the trends, but so far I'm not impressed. Let's see, Sunday, Monday have the following. That was no big deal. Here's a stronger signal for storms in eastern Oklahoma, the very strong cold front. That's on the 25th of March. That's it. So luckily for us, March isn't too crazy to round out the month. which is nice, but that's just the beginning of our severe weather season. So we'll see what April and May bring us. May is usually the peak of our severe weather here in Oklahoma. Okay, so real quick, for those of you folks that were late to the party and you'd like to get a little recap. So today, cloudy skies, it's warm, muggy out there. A couple little, what I call pissant showers, because they don't amount to nothing, just a nuisance. Just enough to get your car wet after you washed it. And that's about all it's good for. Those are anywhere fair game out there across the state. And then a few peaks of sun for some lucky of you, but that's about it. And then storms develop in the Texas Panhandle here in T-minus about 2 hours. Those will go nuts, so produce some tornadoes out there, maybe some big ones. Those will then have a tendency to cross over the border in Oklahoma after about 6 o'clock. So about 6 to 8 is our window in the far western 2 counties. In other words, if you live in the far western 2 counties of the Oklahoma-Texas border, you're in that threat window. The rest of us, no, nothing. So that's good. That includes Oklahoma City. We're fine. South toward, just basically Clinton westward is going what I'm thinking. And more likely really across the first tier counties. The second tier counties is more of a maybe, but it's definitely the first tier counties in the threat zone. A couple of those supercell storms will be producing tornadoes as they cross over. So I'm only looking for a couple. I'm not looking for an outbreak by any stretch of the imagination here in Oklahoma. The tornadoes could be rather decent, in strength. They could be, EF2 magnitude. We'll see what they kind of do out in the Panhandle, then how their strength holds, because they should weaken with time as they move into Oklahoma, because we don't have the same parameters that they will out west. So that will help to weaken the tornado should it continue into our state. Let's see, so we'll deal with that. If I do go live, it will be because I believe a tornado is either about to happen or coming over, as long as nothing's interfering with my whatever it is I'm doing at the moment. So I'll cover those. If not, always make sure you have my weather app. Keep it on handy out west. I like to tell you to use my weather app anyway, just for your daily weather. So if you notice when I do these lives, I focus on the threat, the big story, the big picture. I don't get the nuances of, okay, here's your lows tonight, here's your highs tomorrow, that's what you see on television, and that's great if you need that or want that, but to me, that's boring, and I'd rather talk about the science of the good stuff, the mechanics of what's coming our way, and the hows and the whys and the whats. So that's why I use my app. And if you don't use my app, use another weather app, it's fine. But you don't have to watch TV every day just to get your high and low for the next day. All right, the data you're going to get on the apps is fine for that kind of stuff. That's our day-to-day average, normal thing. Not heard of 10 years ago, but today it's at your fingertips. Great, use of technology. But only my app can predict those tornadoes before they occur, so you definitely want to take advantage of that. Again, it's free. It's called AT's Weather to Go. All right, that is it for me. I'm going to get out of here, and I hope not to see you. Don't take this wrong, but I hope not to come here, do any live broadcasts between 6 and 8 p.m. tonight. I do have some plans that I'm trying to go to, so it's one of those deals, you get invited, and you're like, yeah, let's do it. That's plus a week, 10 days out, and then nothing happens, and all the other days of the planning week, and all of a sudden the day that you're supposed to go out and celebrate someone's birthday or whatever, it's like, oh, there's going to be tornadoes tonight. And I'm like, I wake up and I'm just grouchy. So we'll see what we can do. All right, you guys have a great day. Rest of your Saturday, enjoy it. Thanks for your support. Thanks for the stars today. I appreciate those. As always, what you guys do there may seem little and insignificant, but added up, it's very appreciative, because anything helps to fund this whole thing. It's not cheap. Appreciate you guys. Take care.